1995 Honda 300EX. She's a little rough. Alright, check this guy out. 1995 Honda 300EX. I've never owned a 300EX before, so this one's going to be pretty fun to work on. You can see right there, 1995. I like Honda because they put the date right on the frame without having to look up the VIN. And then here's the VIN right here on the frame. Frame looks like it's in good condition. I don't know if that was repainted or what, but it looks really, really good. It's got the stock exhaust on here. Looks like everything's stock on it. It's got the back fenders here with the seat. Kind of a crappy seat cover on it. Get these plastics off, take a look at it. Oh, it's got an air filter in there. Looks like the gas tank is still here. Yeah, everything looks like it's still here. Looks like it has all the electronics on it. There's even a battery. Wow, it's rare. Let's see what's in here. Nothing in there. And then the other plastics are over here. Don't look at that. So, other plastics right there. But yeah, pretty much complete. Roll smoothly. Sprockets look pretty decent. Chain looks pretty decent. I think this is for reverse right here. I think, yeah. I don't know how that works. You just lift up. I'm not sure. All the controls are up here. We've got lights on, off, high, low, run, start. It's missing the headlight, but it does have the neutral light and reverse light. Yeah, those are hooked up. Tires are pretty decent, not too bad. This one does go flat, and this one does go flat after letting it sit for a while. It looks like everything's hooked up here correctly. But yeah, anyway, the story on this is I bought it from a subscriber. He had this one and another one, a 250X, as a package deal. So I bought both of them, and this one he said does not run. He said he put the head from the 250X on the 300EX, trying to get it to run, and it still wouldn't. So the head for this actually matches up perfectly with the 250X, except for the decompression mechanism. You can actually use the same piston as well, and the same cylinder, and the same valve cover. The only difference between the 250X and the 300EX is the rod length. So I believe the 300EX is a little bit shorter, I believe, and then the 250X is a little bit longer. So you can't swap out the rods, but you can swap out the piston, the cylinder, the head, and the valve cover without any issues. So basically the same engine except for the rod. But yeah, it doesn't run, I guess. The people said that they, got it all together. They checked the valves, they did everything properly, but it still doesn't run. I think they said they were getting low compression, if I remember correctly. So we're gonna go through the entire machine today, try to get this thing to run, try to get it to start up, and then hopefully take it for a ride if we can accomplish that. It came with another cylinder and piston. And I checked the ring clearance on this one, and it looked really good. So if we've got low compression, we might use this one, swap that in there, and try to get that to work. But first things first, let's start going through this thing and see what's wrong with it. I guess we can maybe just try to start it and see if it turns on first. I've got the key out in the truck here, so let's go grab the key and see if this thing lights up at all. Alright, we've got the key for this thing. Let's see what happens when we plug this thing in. Oh, here we go. Up here. Will it turn on here? Yeah, nothing happens. So the battery must be completely dead. It's not doing anything. See what happens now. Oh, light up. Oh yeah, there we go. Neutral light. Alright, turns over. Sounds a little crunchy in there. Ooh, taillight works. Nice. Huh. Wonder why that's not working. I guess first thing we'll do is check for spark and then probably do a compression test on it. If it's got really low compression, obviously it's not going to start, so let's put it like that. Alright. So let's see if we can get in there. Get that plug out of there. Let's see here if we can get the plug out. Alright, we'll see what that looks like. Looks like a brand new plug. Still white at the tip, so I don't think this thing's ever been run before, so guess we'll see if she has spark now. What do you guys think? What are the predictions here? Will we have spark? I'll get the key on and we'll see. Hope it does. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Huh, something in the bottom end does not sound very good. I don't know if that's a starter or what. But we definitely have spark. So that's good. I guess we will do a compression reading next, just to confirm the low compression. That one looks like that matches up there. Let's see, we'll go in from the top over here. Alright, attach our gauge here. Alright, here we go. Let's see what happens. Got throttle open. Start button. Yeah, we've got like 0 compression. What is that? Like 10 pounds of compression. So, obviously something's wrong. So 0 compression basically. That's not good. So it's either like a bent valve, bad piston, bad rings, lots of different things. We'll get this thing top dead center. First check the valves. If the valves aren't tight, that probably means it's like piston rings or something like that, or a bent valve. All right, first things first, let's get this thing to top dead center. I think it's gonna be 10 millimeter. All right, now we're gonna look for the little T. We're gonna rotate this. Look for the T in there. I believe it's T mark for top dead center. And then we'll go up here, take these caps off and check the valves. 17 millimeter socket. Yeah. All right, let's look in there. Spin this thing over. There's F right there. All right, the T mark is right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. you guys can see that in there. You can kind of see the T right there. That's what that looks like. Don't mess up with the F with the T, they look very similar. Here, get the valve covers off. We might have to do one more revolution. Yeah, probably. See if these are tight. Let's see. No, those are loose. So intake valves are tight. That might be why we don't have any compression. That would be sweet. So let's loosen those up. That would be awesome. Look how tight those are. No play whatsoever in there. So what happens is the valves never close all the way if the intake valves are tight. So this is tapped at center. That means that the valve is all the way up at tapped at center for the intake, and these should be loose right now. And if they're not, that means it's pushing down a couple millimeters on the valve, and the valve is staying open in those seats, causing a gap, causing compression to go through. And that would make sense because we had like zero compression. So those were pretty tight on there. Yeah, those aren't moving at all. There we go. There we go, there's some movement now. Alright, we'll look in the book and we'll see what to set those at. Alright, so valve adjustment on the intake valves is 0.005, and on the exhaust it's going to be 0.004. So let's set those. 0.005 right here. I'll slide that in. And we'll just twist that guy down until you can barely pull it out. That seems pretty good. Just tighten that nut down. We'll see if we got it. Yep. Barely pull that out. That one's set. Next one, that one's got a big gap in it. That one's good. Ooh, that one moved a little bit too much. A little tight. Let's see how we're doing now. Yep, that's good. So you can see there's a little movement in there. Alright, and then the exhaust was 0.004. Perfect. So those are perfectly in spec. So the intake we're just a little off. We'll see if we have compression now. Let's do another compression test. Alright, here we go. Time for a second compression test. Let's see if compression went up. If it didn't go up at all, that probably means we have a bent valve. We will see. Attach our gauge here. This would be like the easiest fix ever if this was the problem here. Turn it to on, throttle open. bumped up to 50, so that was part of the problem. Alright, so we've got some compression now, but still not enough. I don't know if the battery's not cranking over enough or what. Huh. Alright, we're hooking up the other pack right now. Let's see if it makes a difference here. Alright, here we go. Throttle open. Right around 100. That's not too bad. Alright, that might even start then. Alright, that would be sweet. Alright, so that's definitely enough compression to at least start. And maybe the rings aren't seated yet from when they rebuilt the top end. Alright, before we attempt to start this thing, let's check the oil. I've not checked that yet. In here. Looks kind of blackish. There's definitely some in there. Alright, so that's good. Hopefully it at least pops over. We'll see. Go. Choke on. Tad smoky. Alright, so it does run, but it smokes a ton. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be rings. We'll have to do a leak down test and confirm. But it does run pretty good. It idles and everything. So, alright, so for the leak down test, we set the engine to top dead center. So we put the mark at the T down here. We've got a tube right here. We're gonna hook up with 25 PSI of air. We're trying to figure out where we're getting compression loss. So if we hear it out of the carburetor, that means that the intake valves are not seating properly. If we hear it out of the exhaust, that means the exhaust valves are not seating properly. If we hear it out of the holes down here on the engine, that means that the rings are not seating properly or allowing compression through. So those are the main things. So let's hook this up and see if we hear any air coming through. And it sounds like intake valve. Put this back to T, it moved here. All right, right there is T. All right, you can hear a little air coming out of here. That means the rings are worn. So it's definitely rings it needs. Hear that air coming out? Compression's getting by those rings. I don't know if they're stuck in the piston or if they're worn. We don't really know. So what I might do is run this thing for a while and see if we can free up those rings, put a little bit of seafoam down there, and just run it long and see if those rings free up. If they don't free up, then we're probably gonna have to tear it down and get those rings off of there and probably replace the rings. We've got the other piston over here, and these rings are really good. So maybe we'll slap that piston in there. All right, we're gonna try to put some seafoam in the gas. See if that can help break up the rings here. Supposedly it cleans injectors, cleans jets in the carb, stabilizes fuel, cleans deposits, lubricates, lube upper cylinders. That's what we need right there. Let's see what happens. Pour a bunch of that in there. Work its magic here. We'll let this thing run for a bit, see if it clears out. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes. Still smoking a little bit. Alright, we let this thing run for quite a while. Got it warmed up, and we had fresh fuel with seafoam in it, and it was smoking less, but still smoking. So I think we're gonna have to tear down the top end and see what those rings look like. Or the other option is put this thing all back together, ride it, and hope that the rings free up. But I'm guessing the rings are stuck to the side of the piston just a little bit, or at least one of the rings. Because it does have compression. It has about 100 pounds of compression right now, and I'm guessing more now since the ring's probably seated. But yeah, I think it's probably worth tearing down just so that this thing doesn't smoke, because right now it's running really good. All right, let's see if we can get the valve cover off. Alright, that's off of there. Everything looks good in there. Cam chain's tight. Cam looks good. Alright, cam chain tensioner looks pretty good. Let's get these bolts off next. Alright, time to get the cam out. Just put a little wire around here. That bearing off of there. Get the cam out. There's the cam. Looks good. I had this held on by 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts here. Let's see if we can get. Oh man, those are on there. That one came. Careful not to drop these down there. I believe there's washers right here too. That one came off. I don't know if there's washers in there. And one more back over there. Right now the head should come off. There we go. Let's see which way it will come out of here. come right out like this, I would think. There we go. Piston looks like brand new in here. Looks pretty good. We'll have to check and see what the rings look like. So maybe they're just worn. We won't know until we dig in there. Alright, let's see if this thing can come out. Alright, here we go. Let's see what is going on with the rings here. And sure enough, they are stuck to the side of the piston. Look at that right here. The top ring. And it looks like the oil rings are a little stuck too. We'll get that piston out and I'll show you guys a closer look. Also, that bolt right here was stuck in there. You can see somebody previously broke that off. It's all rusted on there now. We'll try to get that out too. Oh, the other one broke off too. Look at that. Both of those. Somebody tried to crank those off and broke them. But yeah, we'll see what that piston looks like. The rings were the culprit though, so the leak down test didn't lie. Alright, so the crank looks good. No up and down play. A little bit of side to side, which is perfect. That looks really good. Smooth in there. Check out the piston though. This is so close to being usable. You can see the one ring right at the top there is stuck. See that? Right in there. But the rest of them are free. So I wonder if we would have let it run for a little bit longer, if that would have freed up. I guess we'll see how hard it was in there. Pressing the top ring here, see if it pops out. Yeah, it's not wanting to pop out. It looks like the piston got hot right here. And on the cylinder as well, you can see where it probably bound to the cylinder right there after sitting for a while. But yeah, that ring is not coming out. So we were close to getting all those rings free, but not quite. So let's see if that can come out of there. So second ring was pretty loose in there. We'll see how worn they were too. They look pretty worn to me. Okay, first ring. Let's see if that can come out of here. Not wanting to. It's pretty stuck in there. Oh, there we go. That came out. I don't know if that would have come loose. Just by running it, there's probably no way. Oil rings coming out. I'm surprised it ran as good as it did with that ring being stuck that badly. So this is also what contributed to the lower compression. The rings being stuck. But you can see all the oil and blow-by on this piston. It looks horrible. Look at all that blow-by. That's a ton. I don't think I've ever seen a piston with that much oil blow-by on it. Look at the bottom of the piston too. So that was pretty bad. So we've got a new piston to use. Let's just see what the new one looks like. It's the same thing. Looks pretty close. We'll have to measure and see. Let's see here. Looks pretty similar to me. Yeah, Alright, let's measure these rings in the cylinder and see how big those gaps are. Yeah, the gaps are pretty big. That's a pretty big gap right there. You don't want it to be that big. I mean, it's not horrible, I've seen worse, but it's definitely bigger than it's supposed to be. Let's see the next ring. That one's about the same size of gap. You can see right down in there. So, a little bigger than it's supposed to be. Let's check the new piston. This one a little bit better. Yeah, this one's a little better. This one's a little better. You can see that's a smaller ring gap right there. So this piston will probably work great. I'll check the other ring, but I suspect it's going to be the same ring gap right there. So that's a lot smaller than the other ones. So I think we can use this piston. Alright, looking at the valves, these look really good. No carbon built up or anything. So those look great. Another washer fell off of here. There's one in there too. But yeah, everything looks good on the head, so we don't have to do anything with that. Awesome. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. I was expecting this thing to be a lot worse, but it looks like we can get away with just honing out the cylinder and getting some new rings and possibly a new piston. I'll probably just order up a new piston, new rings, and then a new seat cover, and then probably a headlight if I can find one. And I think this thing will be pretty nice. Actually, like really nice. And all the plastics are there, so I think it's gonna look pretty clean once it's all finished up. So stay tuned for next video when we get this thing completed and take it for the first ride. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. If you guys have any parts like the headlight, let me know in the comments. And until next time, we are out.